we've got a fabulous turnout for you, Sam, who very kindly come along to share some pole work exercises, and in particular pole work exercises that you can do on the ground. Sam is a fabulous trainer who's based in North Wales, so any of my friends that are based in Cheshire, North Wales, then Sam's not that far from you. And I'll let Sam tell you all about who she is and what she does. So I'll shut up now and hand you over to Sam.
Thank you very much, Julia. I've not done a webinar before, so this is all very exciting for me. I'll introduce myself first, just because I'm aware most of you probably don't know who I am. So I'm Sam, and on Facebook I am SDL Equestrian Coaching. Just move my dog. So I'm a confidence specialist coach, because I'm also an equestrian specialised NLP practitioner. So I help a lot of people with confidence issues, through fear and anxieties, but I also love pole work, and a lot of the people who I coach really enjoy pole work, and I think it's not just beneficial for the horse, but it really helps with creating patterns for people which help them, it just brings on their confidence a little bit more. So I like to use pole work quite a lot. My clinics are new, but they fill up very quickly, so I'm obviously doing something right there. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. So I want to talk to you about, first of all, the situation that we have now, where we have this epidemic, and there is, most people now are choosing not to ride. And so I've chose 3 exercises that can be adapted for either ridden, in hand, or there is a lunge exercise as well. So I'm going to talk to you about the benefits of pole work and the benefits of the specific exercises. But I think with the way things are now, where our events and our lessons and our clinics have all stopped, there isn't any competitions going on, it can leave people feeling a little bit unmotivated. So I just wanted to say that this is actually, I think, a good opportunity for people to really go back to the foundations of their horse's training and fill in the gaps a little bit. Because when I go out to coach, a lot of the time there are issues like my horse doesn't canter on the correct canter lead, or they're not bending in the way that they should be doing. They might have stiffness issues, a lack of symmetry, crookedness issues, and quite often the answer is go back to foundations, go back to the foundations of your training and fill in the holes, and that's usually with groundwork, which isn't the answer that people usually want. It's not usually the things that they want to be doing. But the pressure is gone now. We don't have to be rushing out to competitions or clinics or events. We don't have to be doing all these fancy things. So it's a really good opportunity, actually, I think, to go back to the basics, go back to the foundations, and start working on the things that are going to make a big difference to your horse when it comes time for you to get back into the saddle again. So I'll talk to you about the benefits of pole work. So not just how pole work benefits the horse, but why we should be incorporating it into our horse's training. So when we just do flat work, or when we just do groundwork, it can add a little bit more variety and make things a little bit more exciting. It develops your horse's core stability. You can work the top line muscles and improve suppleness by encouraging hind leg engagement. You can use poles to influence your horse's stride. Now, a really good way that I do this is using a fan, because you've got the smaller spaces on the inside and the bigger spaces on the outside, and then you don't really have to worry about setting it up and guessing how big you can extend your horse's stride or how small you can collect your horse's stride. You can take it a little bit at a time and work on that collection really slowly to come into the middle of the fan, or slowly progress out towards the outside of the fan where the spaces are bigger. So it's really good for influencers' horses' stride. So when working on lengthening the stride and collecting the stride. It's especially good for horses that are coming back from injury, or if they're coming back into their training and you want to build their fitness up. It helps the horse have a really good awareness of its surroundings as well, and it promotes muscle development and hip flexion. I have made notes, otherwise I tend to go off on a tangent sometimes, so I have made notes. It's also good for improving balance and control and the steering, which is one of the reasons I use it for building rider confidence as well. If they feel that they are having more control and they have better steering and better brakes, and they can use pole work to start refining the aids a little bit, that's where I find it really helps with rider confidence, because it gives them it allows them to see the control that they do have over pace and transitions and turns. Pole work requires precision, so yeah, it can be used to refine the aids, and it helps promote straightness as well. So when we talk about working on straightness, it's not a case of riding straight lines. You know, to have straightness, you need rhythm, you need suppleness, you need balance. So it's working on the bends, on the corners, and the turns, which then promotes straightness. So those are all the benefits of pole work, and you can, one of the reasons I love it so much is it's so variable. You can change it, you can use it for so many different things, from ridden, groundwork, lunging, and I like to teach pole setups that people can go home and set it up easily, because people don't want to be worrying about the stride and the distances too much, and pulling out 15 to 20 poles. So even though I use quite bigger grids in my clinics, where I am in control of the spacing for the horses that are in the group, a lot of the time when I'm teaching people an exercise, it's something that I know that they can easily set up at home without worrying about the spacing and if a pole gets knocked, or having to drag 15 poles out, because people don't really want to be dragging 15 poles out and then have to put them back again. So most of the time when I'm teaching people, I'll try and choose an exercise that has the least amount of poles, and that they can ride many different ways. So there's there's variety within the same exercise or within the same setup. So I've chosen 3 exercises for you to have today, so that you can adapt it to your own horse's level of training, really, and what you think they are capable of. So you really need to be taking into account your horse's fitness, what injuries they might have had in the past, and yeah, just use them. Like I said in the beginning, if we take this time to really go back to the foundations of the training, and we can use it to start refining those aids. So the problems that I see a lot of, like horses not having brakes, or a horse that's very heavy in the hands or heavy in the reins, crookedness, all of these problems, you can start to work on those now on the ground and use pole work to, you know, all the benefits. We've just gone through all the benefits of pole work, but it adds some variety as well. So things aren't so boring, and it gives you plenty of things to do. So I'm going to go through the 3 exercises with you, and the benefits of those specific exercises and how you can adapt that, whether you want to ride or do it in hand. So I don't know the tech. I haven't been able to get this on the computer, so I've drawn it out for you. So I've drawn these exercises out. Hopefully you can see that okay. Yeah, I think so. So the first one is 10 and 20 meter circles. And if you've got more room in the arena, you can add more circles. So this has got 5 poles, 4 on the 4 corners of your larger 20 meter circle, and then 2 here for your 10 meter circle at the end. Now, I would say only ride a 10 meter circle if you think your horse is capable. A lot of horses, you want to start with a bigger circle, so don't go too small too soon, maybe a 12 or 15 meter circle. So the aim for this exercise is to be riding with correct bend, and aiming for the center of each pole. You want to encourage a soft outline, so really encourage your horse to stretch down, stretch long, and stretch out their back, so they're working over the back, they're using those back muscles. A lot of the time I see horses that are kept quite short going over poles, and you're kind of missing the benefits of it that way. You really want to encourage your horse to take a much longer frame, a much more relaxed outline. And as well, this shows a lot to me as a coach. If a rider gives the rein and allows the horse to go long, one, does the horse go long, or do they continue to carry themselves? Are they able to stretch into that softer, longer outline? And then when they do, are they able to keep the rhythm that they had before? Are they able to keep that energy and keep that flow? Or are they slowing down? Are they stumbling? Are they tripping? Or are they having to speed up to try and balance themselves? And then that gives me an indication then of how good that horse's longitudinal balance is. Because if they can stretch that frame down and find the contact low and work in that soft outline, then that's a good indication to me that your horse has got quite good longitudinal balance, because they can take that contact down and the rhythm isn't lost, the balance isn't lost. So this exercise is going to help you build a longitudinal and lateral suppleness, because we're working on the circles, and your focus really needs to be on finding that consistent rhythm and maintaining the engagement throughout the exercise. So if you're going to ride this, you start on your 10 meter circle, going over the single pole, and then over the single pole, you're going to change rein and change the bend and ride the 20 meter circle. And then as you come around to the next circle, you're going to change the rein, change the bend, and ride the 10 meter circle. And obviously, if you're doing this ridden, you need to start on the one rein, and then when you start it, the next time, start it on the other rein. So that you've got the small circles and you're working them on both reins. If you want to use this exercise as an in-hand exercise, then I would adapt it by adding in a transition to halt over these poles. Where we said before about the pole work having helping with awareness of surroundings and helping you to refine the aids, you can use this. So can you get your halt transition over the pole. So the front feet on one side, the back feet on the other side. Then you would swap over and ride a full, in hand, you would lead a full circle, have your halt transition again, and then lead in hand your final circle. Like I said before, if you've got more room, you can add more circles. You can also adapt this to a lunge exercise. You will have to be quite well practiced at lunging, and your horse will have to be quite well practiced at lunging, because what you're going to need to do is be able to move your circles around the school. So if you can lunge and at the same time travel, travel up the school, then you'll be able to work this exercise. So again, you're going to be staying on the same rein this time. Lunging your small circle, and then as you come down, you want to start walking with your horse, and then travel down the school to the next pole, let the lunge out, so the horse is starting to work on a bigger circle now, and coming around the 4 poles. And then you'll have to travel again with your horse, so walk with it up the school, and then lunge over the small ones. So that's certainly not an easy lunge exercise for someone who's not used to doing an awful lot of lunging. So it might take some practice first, just getting the hang of lunging your horse and being able to travel up the school. Because the area of difficulty there is that when you walk with your horse, sometimes they will get quite big. And especially when you're going from the bigger circle to the smaller circle, you do not want your horse getting too big or too fast, because then you're going to be on a smaller circle. So I hope everybody has had a chance to take notes for that. So the next exercise is using poles for rein back.
I was just going to, sorry to just jump in there. I am recording this, I forgot to say at the beginning, so it will be available with everyone's agreement at the end. So you make notes, but it will be available I'll put it on my YouTube channel, and then you can use it for your clients as well. So just thought I'd add that one there.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
So the next one's fairly simple. It's using poles for rein back. Now, rein back is something that I would like to see more people doing and more people practicing. I know, well, probably with trek, it's something that you would do a lot of anyway, but it's really good for engaging your horse's hindquarters. The horse has to use its abdominal muscles and really sort of suck in the core and use the abdominal muscles to engage the hind legs to be able to move backwards. It's also very good for top line development. And when we start with these exercises, it's important to just do a couple of steps at a time. So just start with 1 or 2 steps and lots of reward for trying. And then you aim to use less pressure in those 1 or 2 steps, and then you can add more steps. You can also use poles set up like this. So you've got 2 poles in a straight line for either a transition or to aid your rein back. So you can sort of practice getting your transition first and making sure that you can use the lightest of aids and create this pattern of getting the halt square inside of your 2 poles. Then you can start to ask for some rein back steps. Now, the benefit of having the 2 poles is it's a kind of a visual aid, it's a visual guide for you both to travel back in a straight line, because quite a lot of the time when I see rein back, it's not in a straight line. And then you can notice, well, does my horse travel to the same side each time? Is there a symmetry issue, a crookedness issue for the horse to be traveling backwards on a curve. So it can help you, just you and the horse, to have a visual guide of travelling back in a straight line. And then there's the rein back over the single pole as well. So you can start by having your transition over the pole. So your transition to halt, and then asking for a step back with the front feet coming back. And then you can start to ask for your transition just after the pole. So halt just after the pole, and then rein back all 4 feet. So that is the pole exercises for rein back. You can do this in hand, and I would recommend that it is done in hand first. And then if you are choosing to ride, it's a really easy and safe one to do in the saddle as well. And it's really just about, like I said in the beginning, going back to the foundations of your horse's training, refining those aids, filling out the gaps that any gaps that there might be, and being able to work on the lightness of your aids. And the last exercise, which is one of my favorites because it's so versatile and there's so much that you can do with it. So this is a maze. Really, really easy to set up. You've got 3 poles, like in a C or a U shape, and then the same on the other side. So the maze is really good because you're bending your horse around the corners. He has to bend through his body. It encourages the horse to step under itself and cross over with the hind legs as well. Like I said, I love the maze because there's so many possibilities. There's so many different ways you can ride it. So again, we're going to start with an in hand. And the simplest way through would be obviously walk in. So you're bending to the left, bending to the right. But you can use it for so many other things. And again, it's refining the aids and asking your horse to yield to the pressure with the lightest amount of pressure. So I like to use this exercise as a walk forward, side step, and a rein back. So you're starting to incorporate all the other things that we've done. So all of your correct bend from the first exercise, your rein back from the second exercise, and now we can start adding in a side step as well. So if you walked your horse in, so you want to make sure that there's enough room here for your horse to side step. So it would be a walk in, then a halt, side step, and then a rein back, side step, and then a walk forward. So that's a really good one, and I would recommend it's done in hand first. And it's really not about pushing and forcing and, you know, literally pushing the horse sideways and going, hey, I got a side step. It's about rewarding the horse for trying. And as well, the poles are a visual aid for you both. So if you've done the side steps, if you've walked in this way, side step left, rein back, side step left, make sure you do the same on the other rein as well. So you've come back, rein back in, side step right, walk forward, side step right, and then rein back. Then you can do this ridden as well if you are choosing to ride. Again, it's a really simple, really easy one for you to do just in walk. So, and you just do exactly the same pattern, but by doing it on the ground first, you're starting to refine the aids. Your horse is becoming more familiar with the pattern that you're doing, so that when you are in the saddle, it's just so much easier. If you are riding and you want to incorporate some trot work as well, Then there's other ways that you can ride this. So you can go corner to corner. You can ride over 2 poles. You can ride in between the two, so you've got a nice guide for a very straight line. And if you are very well controlled, and you can aim for the little, you know, these short bits here which are just about overlapping, you can ride over the 4. So those are my 3 exercises that I wanted to give you today. And these are like some of my favorites really, for different reasons. And yeah, I just wanted people to have a little bit of inspiration, and instead of being a little bit disappointed about events being cancelled, really taking the opportunity to work on some of the finer details. Like I said in the beginning, when I go out and I see issues with horses, like they're very strong, or they pull, or their horse has got no brakes, crookedness issues, a lot of the time I have to say, you need to come back to basics. You need to come back to the foundations, get on the ground with your horse and start to refine these issues. And it's not the answer that people want. But now is a really good opportunity to do that, and to take that, you know, take that advice really, and get on the ground with the horse and start noticing where the holes are, where the issues are. Does your horse ride crooked? Are you struggling with more bend on one rein and less on the other? Does your horse struggle with canter lead on a specific rein? And there's all sorts of ways that you can work to fix these issues now and be on the ground, not riding if you choose not to. So yeah, thank you very much, Julia. And if there are any questions, then fire away. And I'd love to know what you think of the exercises, and if you're willing to go and give them a try.
Brilliant, thanks Sam, that was really useful. What I really love about that is a lot of my clients' friends are from Trek. We talked about it briefly when we had a chat before. What I love about the exercises that you've given us there are how well they relate to Trek, and how they are, for example, your maze, everybody in Trek will immediately go West Bend because that's one of our obstacles. But by building it a little bit different and a little bit bigger, we can then start doing different exercises to really train the horse to listen to us, because a lot of Trek horses will go see that shape and go, oh, I know what to do here, I just walk through it. So I think that's a fantastic exercise to start right back on the ground and get that, you know, what I call training rather than tricks.
Yes.
And the rein back one is fantastic again, with precision. And again, the first one, we have an obstacle called figure of 8. So your circles, they're all perfect for Trek riders. So well done to you for giving people, you know, like I say, a lot of people on here do Trek. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to unmute everybody, and then if there's anybody got any questions,
Can I just ask, obviously, because not everybody's got access to a menage or a flat area, would it matter doing it in the field if the field's a bit undulating?
No, I think actually it's really good for horses to work on the ground. And sometimes I've come across who are used to jumping perfectly flat, perfectly rolled. Put them on ground, they're like, it's a really good idea actually to train on surfaces different. And if you have a slope or even a if you can get your horse on the lunge and you go down the bank and then back up the bank and then down the bank and back up the bank, that's a really good way for your horse to get hill work exercise without you even having to ride. If you want to incorporate poles into work in a field, then yeah, flatter area is going to be better. But you don't need a lot of room for the, especially for the maze. And if you're going to ride or lead in hand, if you're going to do an exercise like this with the transitions and the rein back, where you're just using 2 poles in a straight line or 1 pole, you really don't need a lot of room for that. So if you put that on the flattest part, it doesn't really need to come down and then back up a hill. In fact, it's probably a really good workout.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Hi Sam. Hi, Jackie here. Really interesting chat. Thank you very much. I just wanted to ask a question about getting a horse to go long and low on the lunge when it's inclined to hold its head high. How would you sort of advise on doing that?
Okay. Well, I certainly wouldn't class myself as an expert in lunging, but I would probably not continue to lunge if the horse is not comfortable stretching down into a longer frame. I would probably try and do a little bit more work with the horse stood at the shoulders. And then I can start to, if your horse is quite small, you can put your hands over the horse's wither. So if you've got a bridle on and then you've got a rein in each hand, and you can kind of feel the rein that way. If you've got a very big horse, obviously you can't do that. So then I would underneath.
Okay.
Do a little bit more work in hand rather than on the lunge to try and encourage taking that contact down. So as well, if you're riding as well, you really want to be lowering those hands and just doing anything to say, this is where I want your head to be. And then when they do yield to that pressure and the head comes down a little bit, you need to be very, very quick to release that pressure and go, right, that's where I want your head to be.
Yeah. She's okay on the ridden side. It's just in hand, she tends to hold her head quite high.
So just on the ground?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would start with in-hand exercises and just get a feel for the rein contact on the ground.
Okay.
And try to incorporate some circle work, so lots of bending and turning. And yeah, just lots of reward for every time that they do relax and bring the head down.
Okay, well, thank you.
Just to add on to that as well, because I think Sam, you said at the beginning, obviously due to the lockdown and you not being able to go out and teach, you were talking about doing lessons where people could send a video in of themselves, would you?
Yeah. So I've just set up a Facebook group and it's called Pole Work and Schooling Exercises. If you go onto my Facebook page, it will be in the group, under the group tab, but I think Julia was going to give a link as well. It is new, so at the moment there's only one exercise in there, but I am encouraging people to take videos of the work that they're doing and post it into the group, because it's always helpful for other people to see as well.
Yeah.
And you know, if I'm there, so I can help advise you on the videos, and there's probably lots of other people in there as well that could probably help.
Okay, that'd be really useful, thank you.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the things, Sam, I know that you will only allow nice people, so you won't tolerate any abuse or bullying or being thrown at.
Yeah, be right.
Only.
Yeah, be right.
to go in there. And
Can
the other thing that Sam has very kindly said, I mean, obviously, you know, Sam, I'll say this, but Sam's income's been dramatically cut because she can't go out and teach, but she's very kindly done, you can do donations, so it's on a voluntary basis. So please, you know, please do support however you can. I know everyone's financial circumstances are different in this crisis, but you know, as and when, pick that up with Sam. There's one question here, Sam, from Susan. She says, what do you mean about the horse getting big on the lunge?
Okay, so extending the stride. So when you're, I'll just go back to that diagram. So when you lunge your horse and you start to travel around the school, so you're not in a fixed space, you'll walk with your horse and travel down the school. So you won't be fixed in a circle, you'll come around and then travel down the school to move the circle. Now what tends to happen sometimes is as you come down and walk with your horse, they have a long side of the arena and they're not on a circle anymore, they're traveling straight. So some horses will get either they'll go faster or they can start to extend the stride. And if you want to extend the stride, then that's a really good way to start teaching it from the ground. But obviously, if you are going to be going from a big circle to a smaller circle, you really need to have control over your horse's stride, and you don't want to encourage them to get any bigger or any faster going from a big circle to a small circle.
That's great.
So yeah, bigger is just the horse extending their stride.
Excellent. I've got a thumbs up from Susan, so she said thank you.
Oh, good.
Okay, another one question here from Sally. Is it okay to use a pursuer to do pole work on the lunge?
I have seen people doing pole work with pursuers. I personally don't choose to use training aids, so I don't use pursuers. I don't use long rein, side reins. I think if you're very, very experienced in using them and you have a good degree of knowledge, as in with horse therapy and that sort of thing, I think you can use them. I just choose not to. I would much rather have that input myself.
Like
People using
that normally happens when they've got dues dialed in twice, but right, okay. Any more questions from anyone? Either Lynn says, how do we donate for this session?
Oh, that's very sweet. I can leave my PayPal email if that is helpful.
Yeah.
And if not using PayPal, then please contact me and we can sort something else out. Lynn is in my group anyway, so she'll be able to contact me from there.
Yeah. So absolutely, if anybody feels the urge to donate for this fabulous session, please do. Please join Sam's group. I'll share it on my Facebook groups, pages, etc.
Thank you.
And I think I'd get an overwhelming please will you come back and do this again when you've got some more exercises ready. And I love how you did your presentation on good old-fashioned fabulous. I love it. I'm a bit of a techie geek, so seeing something done properly with, like it used to be done is great. So
I'm not, and I know that they won't let me down.
Yeah, absolutely, too right. So I know that people have joined, some have signed up on my website and I've got those emails. Some people just joined from Facebook and I sent them a message with the details. So I will try and make sure that everybody knows of the group and everything else. So I will urge everybody to look for STL Equestrian, and then you'll find Sam. If you're struggling, give me a shout and I'll point you in the right direction. And just a huge thank you again to Sam for giving up your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, it's great.
And making a fun. This was your first webinar. Absolutely awesome, because you're a born natural. So keep it up.
Thank you very much. I'm very honoured and flattered that so many people came to watch as well.
Yeah, I'll tell you now, we've had the best turnout for this one, Sam. So.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I think you'll be in demand.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
there'll be a new exercise every week in the Facebook group. I don't want to bombard people, and if you want to put your own exercises in there, then that's absolutely fine as well. But I will be posting one exercise a week, not on the pen and paper. I actually have graphics for the Facebook group.
Yeah. So a question from Jackie, where are you based, Sam?
I'm in Llysfine, so that's Colwyn.
Yeah.
Oh.
Not too far. I know I've got quite a lot of ladies in North Wales and Cheshire, so, and Shropshire, which are not too far away. So who knows, when the lockdown's released, we can come out and do some of these things in groups for us.
The clinics that I run, when they will be up and running again, are in Equity. So it's a very big indoor that I use in St Asaph. A few people might be familiar with Equity because there are trainers that use it.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so everyone keep in touch and have fun and stay smiling. And this is a great opportunity to get your basic horsemanship, get everything back on track and communicate with your horse.
Potentially there is, when in weeks' time, when everything is a little bit more normal and everyone can get back into the saddle, if they start to incorporate these exercises and really work on their riding is going to be so much better and so much easier, and they'll hopefully really see a lot of improvement as well.
Yeah, definitely. Super.
Thank you, Julia.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Thanks.